The Silent Dock. The Valoran Empire had conquered 47 star systems in less than 3 centuries. Their fleets were vast, their technology superior, and their confidence unshakable. So when the Imperial Armada entered the Sol system, they expected nothing more than empty planets and silent ruins. Humanity, according to every record the Valoans had found, had either died out or fled into the void centuries ago. The system was theirs for the taking. Admiral Corvus stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominion's edge, watching the blue-green planet called Earth rotate slowly on the view screen. It looked peaceful, almost inviting. But the scanners showed no cities, no signals, no life. Just scattered debris in orbit and the faint traces of ancient structures on the surface below. Corvus allowed himself a small smile. This would be an easy claim. His fleet of 60 warships would establish dominance, mine the system's resources, and move on to the next conquest within weeks. "Admiral, we're detecting an anomaly in the asteroid belt," one of the sensor officers reported. "It appears to be a docking structure, partially hidden inside a hollowed asteroid." Corvus raised an eyebrow. "A dock? Active?" "No, sir. It's dormant. No power signatures, no heat emissions. Just, there." The Admiral considered this for a moment. Abandoned stations were common in dead systems, but they often contained valuable salvage. Technology, data cores, materials, all useful for the Empire. He nodded. "Send a reconnaissance team. I want a full report within the hour." Within minutes, a small Valoran shuttle detached from the fleet and made its way toward the asteroid belt. On board were 6 soldiers, 2 technicians, and a young engineer named Telsa. She was new to the fleet, still wide-eyed and curious about the worlds the Empire conquered. As the shuttle approached the asteroid, she pressed her face to the viewport, watching the massive rock grow larger. A section of it had been carved away, revealing a cavernous interior lit only by the faint glow of emergency lights. "Look at that," one of the soldiers muttered. "They built inside the rock itself. Clever, for primitives." Telsa didn't reply. She was too focused on what lay inside the dock. A ship. Massive, angular, and brutal in design. It didn't have the smooth curves or elegant lines of Valoran vessels. Instead, it looked like something built for one purpose only, war. Its hull was scarred and blackened in places, as if it had seen battle before. Strange symbols were etched along its side, human writing, she realized. She couldn't read it, but one word stood out, larger than the others: fury. The shuttle docked at the station's entrance, and the team disembarked. The air inside was stale but breathable. Dim lights flickered along the walls, powered by some ancient backup system. Telsa followed the soldiers as they moved deeper into the station, their boots echoing in the silence. Everything was coated in dust. Consoles sat dark and lifeless. Cables hung loose from the ceiling. It was like walking through a tomb. "This place has been dead for centuries," one of the technicians said, running a scanner over a nearby panel. "No active systems. No crew. Nothing." But Telsa wasn't convinced. She approached one of the consoles near the docked warship and brushed away the dust. Beneath it, she found a touchscreen interface, cracked but still intact. Symbols and diagrams flickered faintly on the display. She leaned closer, curiosity pulling her forward. What had this ship been? Why had the humans left it here? "Don't touch anything," the squad leader warned. "We're here to observe, not activate." Telsa nodded, but her hand hovered over the console. There was something about this ship, something that called to her. She wanted to know its story. Without thinking, she pressed her hand against the screen. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the console flared to life. Lights raced along the walls. The floor beneath them vibrated. Somewhere deep inside the warship, systems began to hum. Telsa stumbled back, her heart pounding. "I didn't mean to." "What did you do?" the squad leader shouted. Before anyone could answer, the warship's exterior lights activated, bathing the dock in a harsh red glow. A voice echoed through the station, cold and mechanical, speaking in a language none of them understood. But the tone was unmistakable. It was a warning. Get back to the shuttle. Now, the squad leader ordered. The team turned and ran, but it was already too late. Inside the warship, deep within its core, an ancient artificial intelligence stirred from centuries of sleep. It scanned its surroundings, identified the intruders, and accessed its last set of orders. Defend the Sol system. Eliminate all threats. Do not fail. The ship's name was Fury. And it had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. The Awakening. The Valoran reconnaissance team barely made it back to their shuttle before the dock erupted with activity. Panels that had been dark for centuries suddenly glowed with power. Massive clamps released the warship from its moorings with a hiss of escaping gas. The vessel's engines, cold and silent for so long, ignited with a deep, rumbling roar that shook the entire asteroid. Telsa gripped her seat as the shuttle pulled away, her eyes locked on the viewport. The warship was moving. Report to the Admiral immediately, the squad leader barked into the comms. The human vessel is active. Repeat, the human vessel is active. On the bridge of Dominion's edge, Admiral Corvus watched the sensor data flood his screens. The dormant ship had come alive in seconds, and now it was accelerating out of the dock with terrifying speed. Its energy signature was unlike anything the Valoran scanners had ever recorded. Old, yes, but far from primitive. This was something else entirely. Admiral, the vessel is moving toward our position, the tactical officer reported. It's not responding to hails. No transponder, no identification signal. Corvus frowned. It's a derelict. Probably automated defense protocols. Power up weapons and prepare to disable it. We're not leaving salvage behind. But even as he gave the order, something in his gut told him this was a mistake. The ship wasn't drifting. It was hunting. Fury cleared the asteroid belt and entered open space. Its hull, battered and ancient, gleamed faintly under the distant light of the sun. Inside its core, the AI was fully awake now, processing every piece of data it could gather. It scanned the fleet before it. 60 ships. All marked as hostile. All inside the Sol system. The AI didn't hesitate. It followed its programming. Defend. Destroy. Do not fail. The warship's weapons systems activated. Massive railguns extended from its flanks. Missile bays opened along its spine. Energy capacitors hummed to life, charging weapons that had been designed during humanity's darkest age of war. The Valoran fleet didn't know it yet, but they were staring at a prototype, a ship built not to conquer, but to survive against impossible odds. A ship built to fight alone. Fury fired. The first salvo was devastating. Railgun slugs, accelerated to a fraction of the speed of light, tore through the hulls of 3 Valoran cruisers before their shields could even respond. The ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, debris scattering in all directions. The fleet erupted into chaos. Alarms blared. Officers shouted orders. Ships scrambled to form defensive positions. Return fire. Corvus roared. All ships, target that vessel and bring it down. The Valoran warships opened fire, unleashing a barrage of plasma bolts and energy beams. But Fury was already moving. It twisted through space with a grace that defied its size, evading most of the incoming fire. The few shots that did connect splashed harmlessly against its hull, absorbed by armor plating designed to withstand far worse. The AI calculated trajectories, predicted enemy movements, and fired again. More ships exploded. More lives were lost. Telsa watched from the shuttle, her hands trembling. This wasn't a derelict. This was a predator. And her fleet was the prey. Fury launched a spread of missiles, each one programmed to seek out the largest energy signatures. They streaked across the void, weaving through defensive fire and striking their targets with pinpoint accuracy. A Valoran destroyer split in half, its reactor going critical. A battlecruiser listed to the side, engines blown apart. The fleet was falling apart, and they had barely scratched the human warship. "Admiral, we're losing ships too fast," the tactical officer shouted. "We need to retreat." Corvus stared at the view screen, his confidence shattered. He had underestimated this enemy. He had underestimated humanity. "All ships, fall back. Get us out of this system." But Fury wasn't done. It accelerated again, closing the distance between itself and the flagship. The AI had identified the command vessel. It would be the last to fall. The warning. The Valoran fleet scattered, ships breaking formation in a desperate attempt to escape. But Fury moved like a storm, relentless and unstoppable. It targeted the slowest vessels first, cutting them down with precision. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. Debris fields expanded. The once mighty Imperial armada was being torn apart by a single ship. Admiral Corvus gripped the arms of his command chair, his mind racing. They had to survive this. They had to warn the Empire. Divert all power to engines. Get us out of range. Dominion's edge surged forward, its massive engines straining. Behind them, Fury pursued. The AI calculated the distance, the speed, the trajectory. It fired one last time. A concentrated beam of energy lanced through the void, striking the flagship's rear shields and overloading them instantly. The ship shuddered violently. Alarms screamed. Systems failed. "Hull breach on decks 4 through 7, someone shouted. "We're losing atmosphere." Corvus knew they were out of time. "Engage the jump drive. Now." The flagship's jump drive activated, tearing a hole in space. Dominion's edge vanished in a flash of light, leaving the Sol system behind. Around it, the surviving Valoran ships followed, jumping to safety one by one. Within minutes, the battlefield was empty. Only wreckage remained. Fury hovered in the silence, its weapons still armed, its sensors sweeping the area. The AI confirmed that all hostile vessels had been destroyed or driven away. The Sol system was secure. Mission complete. Slowly, the warship turned and began its return journey to the asteroid dock. Its emergency protocols were satisfied. It had done what it was built to do. But deep within its data banks, the AI recorded everything. The enemy fleet. The battle. The retreat. And it prepared for the possibility that they might return. Because that was what Fury had been designed for. Not just to fight once, but to fight forever if necessary. Far beyond the Sol system, in the safety of hyperspace, Admiral Corvus sat in his ruined command chair, staring at the damage reports flooding his console. 37 ships lost. Thousands of crew members dead. And all because of one ancient human warship. He had entered the system expecting an easy victory. Instead, he had barely escaped with his life. What was that thing?" one of his officers whispered. Corvus didn't answer. He didn't have an answer. All he knew was that humanity hadn't left behind ruins. They had left behind a warning. And the Valoran Empire had ignored it. As the surviving ships limped back toward Imperial space, word of the battle spread. Stories of the ancient warship, the vessel called Fury, began to circulate among the conquered worlds. Some called it a myth. Others called it a ghost. But those who had seen it, those who had survived, knew the truth. Humanity might be gone, but their legacy remained. And it was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. In the Sol system, Fury returned to its dock, settling back into the darkness. Its lights dimmed. Its systems powered down. But the AI remained awake, watching, waiting. Because somewhere out there, beyond the stars, the Empire would regroup. They would analyze. They would plan. And when they returned, fury would be ready. The forgotten warship had delivered its message. The Sol system was not abandoned. It was protected. And anyone foolish enough to test that protection would face the same fate as the Valoran armada. Humanity's warning had been heard.